to start this debate, empowering one another to stand up for what is right according to your words. Bless us in Jesus' name. And if you go to the part and leave one another, be with us on the roads. For travel mercies under your blood and your protection in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So, first person which we allowed on the podium will be Monique Wade.
So, firstly, we are making an allowance for people that is coming late. Some of our colleagues in our community members have indicated that they are running late. They will just join us when they arrive, but I thought it would that we start now. So we would just officially like to welcome correctional services, welcome SAPS, welcome the Department of Health, welcome community members. To this particular discussion. This is a roundtable discussion where we ideally want to focus on men. And I know that there are some in the room, there are some non-males, but we want to have this discussion where, one, we speak about males as the victims, but we also speak about males as the perpetrators, and what are some of the issues that men face in our community. What are some of the taboo topics that are not discussed in our communities? This morning we heard that one of them is mental health, but there are also some other topics, especially related to gender-based violence, that men don't speak about to each other. So we wanted to create this particular space for that engagement and for men to also share what are some of their challenges with each other. And we are joined via live stream with our other towns in the central Karoo. So we are joined by Lensburg, Prince Albert, Luhanka, as well as Madrigal. And then we've also got community members that are linking in to be part of the discussion. So without any further ado, we would just like to say thank you for offering your time, especially to our colleagues from correctional services, because they've had to be on the road very, very early, as well as some of our others. Yeah, so MC, you can continue.
We are going according to program. Yes.
The Department of Correctional Services, Mr. Ludwig.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before we start, let me be so forward to say that Monique was running up and down, but today it's her birthday. So officially, we want to congratulate you on your birthday. The invitation is unofficial, but at 3 we'll start at the house. Thank you very much, Monique. May the Lord bless you further. And thank you much. Thank you for everything that you've done for us and assist us with this project and what you do for the community. It really makes us proud that as women run around and we're so fortunately the other day that you was awarded for something, I don't know what, but it means that you are running, and that's good. We want women to run, we want the Boras, we want the Esther to run in the community. Thank you very much. Family, we are here to talk about the topic. As it was mentioned, that is something that is hidden or hide. As we grew up, I never saw my My father hit my mother. I'm just make an example, but tomorrow she's wearing a blue eye. You don't know what happened. All these things happen as from childhood. But as we enter correctional services since 1986, I discovered that this is really a problem in our community, in our country, and I appreciate the government that stood up and let us deal with this epidemic, as I label it, and let us tackle. Thank you, everybody. My part is just to say what I experienced in DCS and in the community, and also the church leader, what happened. Now, gender-based violence is, if I may call it, is an epidemic. It was COVID. It triggers you where you don't want to be triggered. You don't know where you're going. It spread like a virus throughout the country and the world. Domestic violence can cause physical and spiritual harm. And it's also leave lifelong scars behind. You'll get sometimes people, you sit with them, you don't know why they're doing this, other thing, they'll sit and make their legs like that. It is people that is nervous. That is all the symptoms and the signs that I learned and pick up in our community. That's a thing that happen. Gender-based violence is where an opposite gender launches an attack on a person, such as a physical attack, spiritual attack, or verbal or psychological abuse, for example. Women are more the target. Because we as men, we overpower them with our strength. And that's why they are more the target. But as we hear nowadays, it's also women that are abusing men. Now, I define gender violence as a kind of sickness. In the eyes, it's evil. And I label it also as a demonic controlling system. Because the devil is using somebody to use this power that the Lord give him to protect this woman, to abuse it. Because never in the Bible the Lord said there's a place that a woman can be assaulted. I checked and I found that there's different kinds of domestic violence. For example, you get verbal abuse, somebody that is swearing at you, or you come from work dan kry jy die woorde, waarvan kom jy, you dit and you dat. You also get the physical abuse, also get spiritual abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, and then the most common one is the sexual abuse and sexual assault. Psychological abuse, elder abuse, homosexual abuse, child abuse. And one has to remember that gender-based violence occurs not just at home. It happens at the workplace and openly in the public. Because we said, we close our eyes, it's a neighbor's business, it's nothing to do with you or me. The question that I ask myself is, what causes then gender violence? And I come up with saying there are too many things that causes or trigger domestic violence. And I quoted a few. The big one is insecurity. Men are insecure. Jy vind sommer nou uit, jou vrou maak oor is vir 'n ander man. You are insecure. That's where it's further start with jealousy. Then it's alcohol and substance abuse, finances, and you can go on like that. The misuse of substances such as alcohol and drugs is the biggest cause of gender violence. People are quiet at home when they are sober. Maar as hulle sterk water in het en hulle te ganja op iets vasgemaak, then they feel they are like the lion and they want to roar and let people know their presence. Many people drink and use drugs despite the repeated negative effects that occur in their lives.
According to statistics, more than 60% of domestic violence is directly related to alcohol and drugs use. And study shows that young people between the age of 14 and 25 are more likely to become sexual active when using alcohol or drugs. Also, youngsters that drink and use drugs are more likely than others to be victims of violence, crime, including rape, aggravating assault, and robbery. The shocking part, alcohol and drugs are becoming more and more accessible to teenagers every day. Ons het te veel smokkelhuise, ons het te veel drughuise. We know you're staying next to us, but we don't report it. The following is true facts in South Africa regarding domestic violence. Alcohol consumption is a significant contributing factor to the high level of domestic violence today. 60% of domestic violence in the Cape Metropole was alcohol related. 69% of women abused by their husbands or boyfriends identified alcohol or drugs as the main cause of conflict leading to the incidents of physical abuse. 76% of domestic violence in South Africa is alcohol related. To seriously address this problem of domestic violence, a holistic solution will be needed. That will include a reduction in harmful drugs and alcohol use. And the best place to start is at the beginning, by myself, at my house, at my workplace, in my street. Get involved. Identify also some places and tools that I will use the word tools that give people to educate them more. Number one, I label choices. Make the right choice in your life by turning your back on all your bad habits such as alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and filthy language. Number two, education. Educate yourself and others about all the negative effects of substances. By talking, discuss as we do it now. Discuss and let's talk about alcohol use in the be open with different people. Number four, I labeled, we have to take notice. Look out how other people behave when they use alcohol or drugs and learn from their mistakes so that you and me don't follow their bad habits and become like them. Not that we label or judge them. Let's support is number five. If you find it difficult to turn your back on alcohol and drugs, get support. These places are there. The government did establish it there. Churches are there. Community groups are there. Your neighbor is there. Join a support group. We can take this huge problem by the horns only if you and me are willing to give the first step in the right direction. It starts with me and you. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. On the program, we're just going to amend it a bit. So our second speaker, we will have two speakers and then we can have an engagement. And then we will have the following two speakers. So our second speaker will be Sister Hill from the Department of Health. And Sister Hill is the mental health nurse for the Central Commission. Sister Hill?
Good afternoon again.
Sister.
So I wasn't really prepared for this part of the session. I thought we were just gonna go around the room, share ideas. But I am gonna make use of this opportunity. My colleague was with me this morning, and she asked me specifically because she had to leave, please bring up our request. So we as the mental health team, we are not new, we are new in our post. So I've been here for 1 year in August in Beaufort West, where the post was previously vacant for 2 years. So we're starting anew. We want to establish programs. I spoke about the different problems we have within mental health in our district. The central Karoo district, and we need collaboration. We need partners. We do have partners, but we've not engaged with those partners yet in the year that has passed. Because, like the speaker said, with collaboration, if all of us, you and me, we are the role players in the community. So we need to start the process, and then we go to our community. We get them involved, and from there, I think we can really make a difference. I believe that we can make a difference. And like I said this morning about mental health, where it starts off, I mentioned the course I went to last week. We need to start looking after our children for them to grow up responsible adults. So I've already spoken, so I work very closely with the Department of Education because I see a lot of children and they refer a lot of children to me. So I'm already in contact with them for a meeting because we are busy with our yearly planner for 2023, launching programs and what we can do. But especially, so it's GSD by TISA, education, ourselves, a mental health team from the Department of Health, that's going to be there on the 20th of December. And we would like to invite a community liaison officer, someone from the SAPD, for our bullying campaign that we're going to start. Because like I said, those are the children that you can see, these ones are, they're going to be a problem. They are the ones that are going to become our gangsters, our abusers in future. So we want to start from the schooling. We want to start there to try and identify this child, and together with all that role players, see how we can help this child not to become that kind of adult that is going to land up in the correctional system. So I will be giving out when we are done. If you could all please, I don't know if Nick has everyone's details. If I can have those, and you can definitely have mine, I'm going to give my phone number and my email address. So whatever programs you have already planned, if you can include us in those, and I'm talking 2023, and we then can also do the same. If we have a campaign like October's Mental Health Awareness Month, like November Men's Health Month, we specifically focus on those specific kind of things. But whatever you've got planned, if you want to include us, if you have something at correctional services, we want us to collaborate with you guys. And Nick knows, local government, we are more than ready and welcome to join any of those. So my request, that's all I have for today. I think as I did the mental health talk this morning already, saying that we are aware, we know what's happening in the community. And unfortunately, one thing that is very sad, that's keeping us from moving forward with mental health is the stigma. That people get labeled. And previously, it was the same with TB and HIV. So daai gangetjie weet ons weet hoe sit en hy gaan nie daar. Daai mense gaan na suster Karoo. And now it's the same for mental health. Ook jy gaan na suster toe. So dis maar. So that still keeps people from coming to the clinic, coming forward and saying, listen, I've got a problem, I need help. But it's gonna take us again as a role place. We need to educate our community. Who else is gonna do it? If I don't teach them what is depression, you don't have to be shy, you don't have to be ashamed, and you don't even have to drink tablets. You could only come for counseling because we have counseling services. We have registered counselors to our disposal, two for the district, that is working alongside the mental health nurse that can exclusively just do counseling and therapy, trauma counseling, therapy, all of that stuff. We've got all of that available. But like I said, it's going to take you and me. And we need to do this community-based approach. We need to start within our communities, but it's going to take all of us to do that and to help in the community to tackle the problem. So thank you very much. We can take this further in our roundtable discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Hill. We would like to also, I know we said we would have an engagement now, we can start a discussion, but we also have a special speaker that cannot stay long. So we have Mr. Sass with us here. Mr. Sass is the judicial head for the Department of, I always get this so wrong, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, especially for the Beaufort West Court. Mr. Sass, welcome. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to apologize firstly. I attended my husband call yesterday. So only yesterday afternoon I learned that my colleague is off sick. So that means that I have to attend to both courts. I'm actually still busy before what I told you. I just need a few minutes just to come here and meet all of you. So yes, firstly I just want to thank my colleagues for this morning attending. So thank you for standing in for me this morning. I am the judicial head of the case. And this initiative, I think it is necessary because if you look at a community like this, all of us, I'm sure, knows the challenges that we are facing within our. So when we have issues like this, I think it's a step forward in the right direction. We are dealing at the end with what actually happens in the beginning. So when a case ends up us, we are the last end when it comes to the handling of these cases. When we specifically look at gender-based violence cases, domestic violence, even your more serious cases like rape cases and so on. Yeah, we as the judiciary, there is a constitutional duty on us as well to protect the vulnerable. Vulnerable group will always be referred to as children, women, and so on. And while I'm talking, I'm just thinking about Supreme Court of Appeal cases, High Court cases, where the judges express themselves and saying children and women must be allowed to walk freely in the streets, play freely on the playground. And then you have cases where the judges are saying that, and if there is an infringement on this basic constitutional right of freedom, especially the vulnerable, courts needs to respond severely. In other words, it is to send out a message to perpetrators or even potential perpetrators that the court will not tolerate infringement of a constitutional right of the parliament. So this is actually our role, and not to compromise my impartiality or my objectiveness. I will not go into a deep discussion because, as you all know, I can't be part of a discussion for like prosecution or be part of how we're going to fight the crimes. Because when it comes to me, I'm at the end of it. Then I need to look objective. Then I need to be impartial so that I can apply justice, so that I can make sure there is an appeal case where one judge said a judge is not there as a referee, only to see that parties are playing according to the rules of the game. But a judge is there to see that justice is done. So even the victim, even the perpetrator, both of them are not unfortunate. Both of them has constitutional rights. And it is for the court to see that their constitutional rights are protected because I have a constitutional obligation towards the community in the entire. But I am here to say that from the judicial side, we are there. I'm exercising an open door policy because it is important that the courts need to be accessible. Justice needs to be accessible. That is the message that we need to carry over to our community. They mustn't be afraid. They mustn't hesitate. They mustn't doubt whether they can approach the court. Mr. Malgas is here. He is doing domestic violence, gender-based issues, and he knows. He's bringing like files to me on a daily basis of domestic violence cases. That is an illustration of how serious it actually is. This is an indication of the condition. If you look at the community as a whole, they need, as Sister was saying, we need to hope. We need to let the community understand that we are different. We are accessible. And from our side, we want to ensure the community that we are there for them. We are accessible. They can exercise their constitutional rights. So from our side, not to be long, this is our contribution. And as I'm saying, it is important. I remember when I was still a child, when you see a police van, the policeman doesn't even see you. But when you see the policeman, you run away because you are afraid, even for the police. You are afraid for the court. When I started in the Department of Justice, that was the very first time that I entered a courtroom. Because we grew up with that stigma of being afraid for a policeman, being afraid for the courts. And I think that is the thing that needs to be changed. As you have said, even from the beginning, from a very young age, children must learn that they don't need to fear the justice system. They don't need to be afraid for a policeman. I know that times has changed. Sometimes nowadays the police must make way for the child, because when the child is seeing the police van is coming in, he will walk straight in the middle of the road. Times change, but at least we need to let them understand that there's no need for fear for the justice system. From the judiciary, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be part of this. Again, for my colleagues this morning, thank you for representing the office. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the fact that you gave me this opportunity just to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sass. I think we will finish all of our speakers. So our next speaker is going to be Colonel Kwasaba, Lieutenant Colonel Kwasaba from SATS. Kwasaba, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Lieutenant Colonel Kwasaba, the acting station commander of Beaufort West, and also the patrol commander. Currently, I'm wearing 3 caps. That's why at some stage in the morning, I was tired. I had to be all over. When we talk about gender-based violence, as SAPS, we are facing a big challenge. Gender-based violence emanates most of the time from the domestic violence incidents, which is wide, as it comes from physical, emotional, economical, financial, and sexual. In policing the domestic violence, we are having a big challenge, as most of the time is occurring indoors. Hence, we conduct awarenesses through media and door-to-door campaigns, and also the campaigns at schools. The most problem we are experiencing is that to be a man, it started at a young age, because we are experiencing bullying at school from the boys at a young age. The way we men are raised previously need to be changed, because a boy of 8 years old sees himself as superior or powerful to a girl of same age, of which that need to be taken into account and to bring a change. So to deal with the gender-based violence, it needs all the role players to come together. For instance, SAPS cannot deal with the issues of gender-based violence alone. Social development and other respective role players need also to come to an end. As we are, for instance, we are having programs at school whereby we are doing the awareness campaigns for bullying, teenage pregnancies, and others, with the effort to try and make the boys to see themselves as equal as the girls. Then, in the ACPS, there are different courses which members are all attending, like the domestic violence courses, the vulnerable children and youth at risk, first responder to sexual offenses, and also the human trafficking. In all, to try and deal with the issue of GBV, we have to preach the term of tolerance, because you get that the problem or the arguments that started or always starts with the issue of not tolerating each other. So by those words, okay, so that as from the 1st of April 2021 until the 1st of March of the previous financial year, we had 54% domestic violence related issues, which is an indication that most of the gender-based violence cases are cases which come through the domestic violence incidents. And in those cases, 71% victims were females. Then 3.4% were females under the age of 18 years. And 1.9% victims of males under the age of 18 years. So in all, as ACPS, I'm appealing that we must put hands together and fight the gender-based violence amongst our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Koseba. We have two more speakers, and then we will open the floor for this engagement. And listening to some of the speakers, it should be interesting, some of the questions and the things that will get out of it. So our next speaker is from the Department of Social Development, Mr. Beaufort Joseph.
Well, good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. All the departments here, Department of Justice, members of the police, members of correctional services, other departments and organizations. I greet you once again, as I did earlier in the Fulky Park. Then to our VIP guests, whether it is here present or tuned in online, the men, because today we're taking another turn. Normally, when we do this launch, we do the whole 16 days program. We're only zooming and we only focus on the violence that are being done against women and children. And this time around, and I thank everybody for that, voting to that, we also now want to focus more on men, as it is said that most of these things start with men, so it needs to end with men. And that is our plea as a Department of Social Development, that we would see lesser and lesser and lesser of these kind of violent behaviors in our societies and in our communities. Now, if I can start this segment of our input as the department, allow me just to start like this. As a man, most of the time, it is expected of you to be brave. It is expected of you to be a hero, and it is expected of you to be a protector. But men at times can also be vulnerable. They can also be broken. I'm not sure how many of us do realize that just the other day, on the 19th of November, we commemorated and celebrated International Day for Men. Now, at the moment, it's on that level, international. Remember, on the 9th of August, there's this National Day that we commemorate. It's actually a public holiday here in South Africa. But if we as men can stand up, gear ourselves, I can't see why we can also move into the direction where there's a National Day for men. All right, so let's take hands. Let's move into that direction so that it's not just commemorated on an international level, but it also gets brought down to a national level here in our country. Now, in a media release by our MEC just last week, she mentioned that this day, this International Day for Men, amongst other things, is to celebrate, listen to this, the positive values that men bring into the world, okay, and into their families and into the communities. That is one of the things why this day is being celebrated. But when you look at an overall statistics, overall percentage, that might not be the case. If you look at town by town, area by area, community by community, you might disagree with this thing that's saying the positive values that men bring to the communities. So our minister also highlighted the important role that men and boys will play in ending gender-based violence. And that is what I also, in my introduction, said. And that is where we need to move towards. Now, the program, or the problem, or the issue that we are facing is that men normally don't speak out. And because they don't want to be seen as being lame, they don't want to be seen as being the victim. They want to be in charge, you know. But the truth is, men are also being abused. Sometimes it's financially, you know. Sometimes it's emotionally, and so we can go on and on and on. Let's be real. Gender-based violence, fellow listeners and everybody who are present. Gender-based violence is not just a woman's issue. As both women and men are affected by the abuse. So it's not supposed to be the them and the us. It's supposed to be we. Because sometimes we talk about them, which is either the perpetrator or the victim, then us, which is now, whichever the other one is, then you get the perpetrator, them, and us, which are the victims. But we need to get to a point where we move towards a direction where it says it's all about us, one unit. All right, this morning I gave two statistics about GBV statistics and also family preservation, because it's all about preserving families. It's all about uniting and getting dysfunctional families into one house again. Sometimes, as a Department of Social Development, we are forced to remove children from their house because, as the gentleman from SEP said, the Lieutenant Colonel said, the domestic violence pushes us into a way where the children need to now be removed. But as a Department of Social Development, we strive to, at some point, reunite the children with their own families. Because we are not helping society. If we are taking children out of a family, out of a comfort zone, we place them somewhere else, they need to start their lives all over again, because they get into a home where there are other children that were there before they got there. So they need to fight for their space now. So, and that is why it is so important that this evil thing, I think one of our colleagues earlier said, this demon or this pandemic, he said, can be moved out of our societies. Now, as a department and as the Western Cape government, we are mindful of the fact that the commitment of government, the commitment of civil society partners, the commitment of other social partners, and the commitment of the communities are needed to work together towards a sustained plan of action in order to curb gender-based violence and femicide. Listen, I almost said, listen, beloveds. So I'm so used to speaking in church. So, but I can say, beloveds, if we can just think about that. This year, today is the start of the 16 days. Now we will all be busy, we will all be in the streets. If we don't have a sustained program together, where all the partners do their role, the gentleman of justice just asked us that. If everybody can play their role, then I'm sure that we will be able to overcome this. And if I can maybe repeat the quote that I quoted earlier in the full part of our minister, where she said that our response to gender-based violence and femicide must be intentional and it must be uncompromising. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate on that again. Now, the buzzwords that went around for a long time, gender equality and woman empowerment. And then also there was a word that came alongside those two words in the word discrimination. Because of discrimination, there was a there was no gender equality, and therefore gender equality had to come, which means women had to be empowered. And sometimes, and I'm really not making any excuses for the violent acts of some of our men in our communities, but in all the efforts that we made as government, as society, as communities, to reach an equilibrium or to get a balance, you know, to get women balance with the men, it has to be said, let's be honest. At some point, we as communities and government departments, and there are a lot of us that may be at fault here. We neglected men because we pushed down women. So we empowered women, everything was around women. And it can be one of the reasons why men now decided, I need to come forth, want soos hulle in Afrikaans sê, ek moet myself laat geld. So nou het manne na vore gekom en hulle moet hulle self laat geld. Let's just make an example here. If you are a gentleman, I'm saying with all respect, that is working and you earn salary A, and your wife earns salary A plus A plus A, because he's a deputy director or an ASD and stuff like that. Some men are not emotionally that strong to be able to handle that. Let's be honest. Because it's also a biblical principle, let me also just bring it in there, that the man is the head of the woman and God is the head of the man. So now the man is saying, because some of our men are just skewing their thinking, because it's not about the finances. I mean, you're still the head at home. Even if your wife earns more than you, you are still the head. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to say here today is that society is quick in reacting without realizing that some men are actually also facing trauma, which has an effect on their behavior. And for us to change this behavior, we need to come up, as I said, with a joint effort, with a waterproof program that is sustained, and that all the role players. Remember, there are some of the role players are changing from time to time. The one maybe go off either on his retirement or whatever, then there's a new person. But sometimes we find that the person that you used to work with, the new one maybe are not so eager. It's something that needs to be done at that department, because there's nothing that I can do because I don't have insight in the department. But that is one thing that I also want to ask our departments and our stakeholders. If there's a handover or somebody else needs to stand in for you, make sure that that person is properly briefed so that we don't take society, the communities, and especially the men back to where we started. I'm almost done. At the end of the day, like I said, it's all about preserving families. Now, just an encouragement for the men that are listening in and the men that are here. Let us strive to do the little things right. Let me make an example. In the Navy, in the police, in the army, you get these big, strong men, but all of them are expected in the morning to make their bed. And they need to make it to perfection. Those of you that maybe were in the army and so forth. Because there's an inspection taking place in the morning and then your bed needs to be neat. That's just a simple thing that I'm mentioning here today. But that is the thing that we are asking from our communities. There are simple things, minor things that we just need to do right. Sometimes our men are the guys that gets home, get a newspaper, read the newspaper. The woman or the wife also comes from work. She needs to start the cooking. I mean, you can also do something there in the home. Small little things that you can also. Now, during this duration of 60 days of activism, we will also be commemorating other days such as World AIDS Day, the 1st of December, and then International Day for Persons with Disability on the 3rd of December. Now, I'm mentioning these days because those are also categories of persons that are sometimes abused and that are sometimes also we take a blind eye because we don't want to get involved. We don't want because sometimes because it's too much effort, especially when it's a person with disability. You now to assist this person, and people just don't want people to be, dependent on them. So they just turn a blind eye. And those are things that we need to also take in consideration when we're moving forward. In closing, the Department of Social Development has prioritized our victim empowerment program, so much so that additional social workers were appointed to give special attention to cases of gender-based violence. We have such a social worker at our office here in Beaufort West as well. Lebo is her name. So let's make use of this. And I'm mentioning this now because sometimes there are people maybe far from here that can also just go to the department and ask for these special services. I'm just, again, for those that are fortunate to be linked to emails, we've launched an inquiries email address this week, which myself, as the customer care person for the region, Eden and Karoo, which means the Garden Route side, as well as the Central Karoo side, myself, the regional director, Mrs. Mari Hendricks, as well as the PA of the regional director. Now, if you have any inquiries relating to our department for Central Karoo or Garden Route, maybe you've got a family member in George and you want to also inquire on behalf of your family member, you can also do so. That email address is DSD Eden Karoo. You don't have to, it can be lowercase, it doesn't matter. DSD Eden Karoo .inquiries@westerncape.gov.za. The email went live a few days ago. So if I, like today, I'm here in Beaufort West, but my regional director is in the office, also a PA. So if an email comes through, my regional director sees it, and she will make sure that it gets priority attention. And I thank you for listening, and I thank you for having me for the department here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. Our last speaker is not on your official program. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So at the official launch today that we had in Beaufort West, he approached me and he asked me if he could have a few minutes to engage with the community, but also to engage with leaders in the community and speak about gender-based violence as a young man. And so, Mr. Solomon, the floor is yours.
Good day, everybody. It is a privilege and honor to stand here in front of you guys. My name is Steve Solomon. I represent the youth of Central Karoo because our town is actually a region I represent, the young people of Lensburg, Marisburg, Merivale, Nelspruit, and the various towns. We, we as the youth league members of the Central Karoo, we are very disciplined young members and very militant young members and very radical young members. So it is very important for us to also be part of engagements like this for the youth, whereby we also have influence and input on how to tackle such pandemics that has caused a big impact upon South Africa on a national, provincial, and a regional platform. So it is actually an honor to stand here and representing the young people. We we want to empower our youth and empower our community and have engagement about them, about our surroundings, what is going on in the Central Karoo. So those beautiful young ladies sitting there, back there, those are the health promoters of a program project that was also developed for them to go ward to ward and sub-region to sub-region to have engagement to the community about gender-based violence, crime, assault with grievous body harm, and rape cases. So that is why we feel that our young people must be part of this platform because we are the leaders of tomorrow. And with that being said, let us rebuild each other as people of South Africa. Let us care each other. Let us bear each other. Let us love and care for each other. Let us have Ubuntu amongst each other. It has come to our attention that the GBV and various crimes is actually a very big problem in South Africa. According to our South Africa statistics, the GBV cases have actually, the numbers has raised up on a national platform where GBV matters over the past 5 years has actually increased into 13,000, and women are victims of these charges. And from July to September, our GBV cases, according to our statistics, have been 885,000 cases, which has actually reduced over the past years. Our assault GBH cases from July to September is now 85,640. And our domestic violence cases is 6,662. It is family related member cases, and in the Western Cape, it is actually also a very huge problem. And amongst our community, we also have a firearms problems in our town, whereby in the Western Cape, we've got 526 cases of murder in the Western Cape. I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to represent the young people, and it was an honor standing here. And we, as the Central Karoo, as young people, we feel that we all will like to talk Afrikaans. So this is from the youth of Beaufort West, waar ons aankom, word ons aangekyk, en daar waar ons praat, word ons geluister, en daar waar ons brul, sal mense terugstaan en voor ons buig, want ons is die leiers van môre. Dankie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. And with that, we open the floor for discussions, for questions. If you have a query for any of the speakers, the floor is open. Questions? Concerns? Mr. Solomon has a question. Solomon.
Since our various cases have actually raised through the years, what are we going to do different now in terms of tackling these challenges? Or what can we do different?
Mr. Solomon, so who is the question? For SAPS, for DSD?
For everybody.
Okay, so any responses? Let's start with Saps. Saps, what are you doing differently? I'm going to try and get this mic. Doesn't want to go further than you, so. Yeah.
Okay, during the mid-year, September 2021, the Minister of Police, pronounced that the gender-based violence related crimes must be taken as priority. And he said that there must be establishment of gender-based violence desks in all the And furthermore, the minister appealed to the communities to report the issues of gender-based violence before any happening, because the community tends to keep quiet up until something had happened. So the appeal by the minister is on the community to stand up.
Mr. Matiso, since you are sitting there, Mr. Matiso is also from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development.
Mine is very short. I think I did explain it already, because the question is, what is the time difference in trying to tackle the issue? I did say that the Department of Justice is taking this issue of domestic violence so seriously that it has amended the statutes when it comes to domestic violence. As I did explain, justice, or rather in the judiciary, there is schedules from 1 up until 7. Now, usually when a person would either you're a first offender or not, if you're a first offender, when you commit a crime, it comes to schedule 1 offense. But the department found it so important, the imperative, to take that, because of the increase of the type of cases of gender-based violence within South Africa, especially, that they've actually increased that any matter of domestic violence, a person might not have a protection order or a harassment order as a person, but immediately, if it's a partner or someone that you are involved with, or you're in a relationship, whether it's a wife, whether you're a cohabiting partner, but if it's a relationship of that nature, then it automatically becomes a Schedule 5 offense. Then certain processes they need to take place according to that schedule, in ensuring that the person goes through the processes. So that is one of the things that the department has done in trying to act differently, or showing the seriousness of the offense itself of domestic violence.
Thank you, Mr. Matiso. Sister Hill?
Okay, Mr. Solomon, I don't have an answer for you as the Department of Health, but I am going to redirect the question when everyone else has answered your question. I want to redirect it at you. What do you, as our leaders of tomorrow, what do you want us to change? I would like to know that. I think it sounds like you already have the answer. So I would like to know that. What have you discussed, and do you think, as the leaders of tomorrow, what do you want us sitting here today? What do you want us to do differently?
We will give you the chance to respond to her question now. But let's give DSD an opportunity to also tell us, what they are doing differently in relation to gender-based violence, but also in relation to young people and having them access services.
Okay, let's start with the violence itself. We've got a program called Social Crime Prevention. Now, that is a program that we cannot do without the assistance of SEPs. We have what we call adults in conflict with the law, and also children in conflict with the law, that we or not me, but our social workers need to assess, and then from there they decide whether this person needs to go for a diversion program to be diverted. Other there's ideas and whatever. So now what happens is if victims doesn't go and make or press any charges, then it means that SAPS won't know, which means we won't know as a department. It's got a chain reaction. And sometimes, as Mr. Matiso this morning said in the full part, let's also just quickly bring that out. That you do press a charge as a victim. So now SAPS does restart. They also hit us in as easily, but the victim now drops the charge. So which means that's what Mr. Matiso this morning said. So now it's out of our hands, it's out of SAPS hands. And the other thing that we also now, as a department, are looking at is to beef up the diversion programs itself. Because what we found is that a person, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, being referred to diversion programs, we found that the completion rate is not that high. There's also, because we track how many people were assessed, we track how many people were referred for diversion, but we also track how many completed the diversion. And that is sometimes where the problem starts. Is when they go for 1 or 2 sessions and they need to go maybe for 4 or 5. And if they don't go for the 4 or 5, it means that they're complete. So they are back in the community, starting all over again. So that is one thing that we really want community members to take note of, that we react based on, when it's in the ambit of SAPS, they'll get us in when it's after hours, because we also have social partners like about Jesus, child welfare, ASIF in other areas and so forth and so on. In terms of youth, we do have youth development component in the Department of Social Development, and we strive as a department. We do have not a lot of staff in that component, but there are staff available. Youth development, and the main goal there is to link youth to job opportunities. Sometimes it can be together with community safety, the Chrysalis program, and also sometimes but it's always in collaboration with either other departments or other organizations. Because as a Department of Social Development, we cannot just take you from the street and then say, tomorrow you are employed here. We only got so many posts in the department. Therefore, when we link youth, it might be, like I said, I see you, maybe are you from the Chrysalis Academy? You are graduate. So, and then as a department, we also assist with that. So that is one of the things that we do for you.
Thank you so much.
And then lastly, I forgot this one, is that as a department, we also get involved with the youth cafes. We've got a few in the region, youth cafes, where youth gets to these organizations, and like in Oudtshoorn, I know there's a youth cafe. Here you have got the mighty big youth hub, which is much bigger than the smaller youth cafes in Grootbrak, in George, in Mossel Bay, not in Mossel Bay, sorry, in Riversdale and so forth. So we also get involved in that in terms of the youth cafe, because as a department we also assist with funding. Not all the funding, but some of the funding.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Now, I'm just handing over to Mr. Solomon. Sister Hill's question. What is it that the youth is wanting?
You thought we would also answer.
Oh, we'll get to you, Sam.
I think the strategies, we need to change the strategy and focus more on young men and women, where we have open engagements about them of the differentiation between a man and a boy and a woman and a girl. And also have engagements to them whereby we let them grow beyond the expectations as young men, whereby we make them feel part of other children going to school, because sometimes it is a challenge of the children who want to go to school, but they are maybe not financially right at home, whereby uniforms of school whereby they go with shoes that are broken, old school clothes and stuff like that.
Is there any other sector or any other person that would like to respond to Mr. Solomon's question on what are we doing as sector departments and as communities to change things?
Sorry to disturb you. And also the young unemployment rate of the young people, also creating more breadwinners in various wards. That will also strengthen our long road to this pandemic.
Okay, so there's a hand over here. So what is your name?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yadiko Daniels. I'm from the Beaufort community. I would like to say that what I have done to our community, or our community, is yesterday I was walking to the over municipality. I got it home. The child has been absent from school for a very long time. And the parents asked, I asked the parents, why is the child not at school? And they told me a story about the teachers, and then I went back to school and asked the school. And then they said, no, but the parents should talk the truth. And then the child is not going to school regularly. And then it becomes clear that the mother also, she was drugs in it. So the child never had any food or anything to go to school. But and yeah, I was very telling them to take the children to school, be a part of the children when they are supposed to be at school, be a part of what they are doing. The child has to do at school. Be more take more part in it. There was this one boy that I spoke to in the week. He was also absent from school. Then I spoke to the teachers in school, and they said, this guy, he's problematic. He never gets to school. When he's in school, he's hiding in the toilets. And the teachers are actually very tired of him. He's not achieving marks academically. And I am very disappointed that the municipality is not here today, because sorry, can I speak a little bit of politics? Alas si Alman akademis aan en onze vader is scholen en onze community wara. En op die oomblik is een se vader is school in oud scholen. En dit kos op ouer 130 rand om die kind te hospitaal. Dan moet die kind 2 keer per maand die kind per naweek moet die kind huis toe kom. Daar is die ouer moet vervoer kos. Maar eigenlijk onze kinders het die ons ouers het die jare wisseltyd om onze kinders aan te kan hou. Dit is om hulle elke 2 naweek huis te kan bring. Dat is hoekom ek in 'n mate te reëlingswerk is om te sien dat die munisipaliteit is hier om te kan versier hoekom is hierdie gebou wat hulle gesê het is 'n vaardigheidsskool. Hoekom kon dit nie klaar kom om weer van onze kinders te help of ons ouers te help in sulke omstandighede nie. Daarom sê tweedens is dit 'n probleem in die feit dat ons het huise gebou en hier zijn 2 'n huis waar ouers saam met die langs die kinders daar's geen privaatheid vir niemand in die huis nie. Ons het net gehoor dat kinders raak op seefspan, raak op 'n jong tyd raak hulle 16 aktief. As ma en pa die kind skrik wakker, hulle gaan maar privaat hê. As die kind ook hier sien die kind hier goed is en môre net hoe begin as ma dit daar en begin oefen hier op die dogter of die suster of die dogter. So ons moet begin kyk na sulke omstandighede. Hoe kan ons sulke goedes kinders in sulke omstandighede tree om dit beter vir ander te maak? Dankie.
Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Mindy. Mr. Solomon, just to get on what Sister Yvette asked you, you never mentioned what the youth will do to enlighten one more thing, it is cyberbullying. Because earlier this morning, Mr. Matthew said mentioned it about that guy, the guy of Karoo Secondary School that committed suicide after it was allegedly raped the daughter, a girl child at school. We really need the youth to come to the party to inform the fellow youth that cyberbullying is a crime. It's a crime against humanity. You intrude a lot of people's lives. You invade their space. You cause harm through that. We really have to come to the party. Also, on the other end, with regards to job creation, our youth must start thinking outside the box. Our local government is not a job creation department. The provincial government and national government is from time to time advertise posts for entry levels. Our youth must start to learn that when the opportunity right at the door, they are selected and vetted and approved to start a career, whether in the national department or provincial government department, to take full responsibility and charge, to strive to better their own lives, to go back to the communities and come back, so that we don't look only at the local government as a handout for a handout job. Go, as the previous speaker said, try to get a skill. All our children can't go to varsities, attend the TVET college, acquire a skill, because this land is in dire need for skilled persons. People with a skill can start their own business, they can create jobs, they can create a sustainable community. So my words for the youth is, let us all take hands. Previous speakers address a lot of other things, but to address gender-based violence in general, we need a holistic approach. We need a holistic approach where everyone has came to the table. As Mr. Joseph said, we need a waterproof frame, but it needs our involvement. Yes. We need to start at school, within our communities, within our churches, within our own institutions. Because gender-based violence have different forms. We as men is sometimes being accused of bullying females within the workplace, and we didn't speak up. It is time that men must come to the fore to say that we are also victims that has been exposed to these things. Because females, as Wilbert had said, it was women empowerment, it's victim empowerment, and we, the women are not at all times the victims. We also have to take care of the special categories, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ plus, because that people is also vulnerable. And most importantly, we have to take care of the elder persons within our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fisher. We have two more speakers. Mr. PT from the district municipality.
Okay, no, thanks. Mine is not for questions. I'm related to directing for asking actually. But I don't want to ask. I just want to put in the youth's mind another understanding of things, because they call themselves the youth for the leaders of tomorrow. I want to discard that, to say that with everything that has been said, with the questions that were posed to you, with the role that you are expected to play, and as Mr. Fisher said, that there are specific things that they want you to talk to the youth about. Now, when you do those things, that is showing leadership. You already are leaders, not the leaders of tomorrow. Because leaders is about dealing with challenges that we are facing in our communities. You've been in different platforms as a leader of the youth. You've made inputs in those meetings. You've made an input here. Therefore, I cannot agree. Hence, I want to put a mind shift in you as the youth president in general, that you are the leaders of today, moving into the future, not just that you are only the leaders of tomorrow. I want to also make a practical example by myself to say that when I started to be a councillor, I mean, I was 27 years old. I became the mayor of the town at 30 years old. I was still under the age group 10 youth. So I couldn't consider myself as the leader of tomorrow whilst I'm handling challenges that we are currently having. And that is what you are currently doing. You are handling issues that affect the youth. You're supposed to be there. What we should just only be doing is to empower you with challenges that we pose to you. Say, this is what we expect you to do. This is what we want you to do. And when you grapple with those issues, you will be showing leadership in terms of how to deal with those particular issues. So don't call yourselves again leaders of tomorrow, because we consider you as leaders of today. And so hence we pose those particular tasks and challenges to you. The issue of skills is a serious issue that I want us to deal with. If you look at our district municipality, we've got our IDP, and our IDP is talking about the need to establish an education and skills development forum. Now that forum must bring together all stakeholders that have a role to play in education and in skills development. We need to come together to talk about what kind of skills do we need, human resources, in terms of socially and economically. So when we deal with those things and we are clear about what kind of skills we need, life skills, economic and so on, then we are also ensuring, yes, we might also say in the same breath that we need to have special focus, for example, on youth and on children, because we're neglecting children, waiting for them to get to the age of youth, of which we're supposed to change their minds while they are still children. At a very early age, we need to inculcate certain standards and certain ways of viewing and looking at things and so on. And now we will always be fair to them if we do not begin to involve them as we actually grapple with these issues and so on. So yes, we do have an implementation plan about bringing together that platform so that we can, out of that, have all of the stakeholders there, so that we go out and see how we can address the issue of skills, as people are already highlighting such things and so on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. The gentleman in the yellow hat. Your name, sir?
Mein Name ist Beaufort, das war eine Konferenz. Sorry, ich habe nur gesprochen von den Karoos, wir hatten die Karoo, I will mix my language between English and Afrikaans. So firstly, what I want to highlight is that all of us, we are victims of society. So I think it begins with a community where we all need to go back and mobilize our mothers. I think everything starts with mothers. Before you became a man, you are a child. Then you became a boy or a girl, then you became a man. So everything you do is what you have learned at home. So I think we need to go and mobilize all mothers, having a joint venture of all institutions, set a like awareness program, so that all mothers must being like alert gemaakt word om te sê dit is wat aangaan in ons gemeenskap. Ek dink ons kinders is deel van wat aangaan in ons gemeenskap, ons manne ook, maar ons bly stil en laat dinge gebeur. So if we can get our mothers and all institutions and re-educate our mothers so that they can now bring this thing forward, and I think the solution we will start to get. Thank you. Because in the end of the day, our mothers are the biggest victims of all.
I was looking forward to the mango mousse, but
I just wanted to add something. As departments, whether it is national departments or provincial departments, all departments have what we call annual performance plan. We do have, from there we write our own operational plans and things like that. So that is now, you know, for your region or for your service delivery area in whatsoever. And then it comes with certain budgets. I don't want to talk about that a lot because that is most of the time not suffice, you know. So let's not go into that. Let's just leave it so that they can rather give it to this contract and get started. So now what I wanted to say is that what we've seen over all these years, and I'm not long in government, I started the other day, 2008. So now, but what we've seen is all departments, all organizations has got certain programs in certain areas. Let's take, for instance, June 16. Then we have a small program in Mantlekosi. There's another one in this side, also small. And there's another one in Nelsport and so on. And sometimes it's the same kind of program, but if we could have pooled that program, pooled our resources together as departments and have one big mass program, maybe here at the stadium, and we rather bring those other youth, the smaller groups in. I don't want to say smaller groups, but all these little programs can become one big program. Because what happens is, not all departments has got a lot of experts available. So now you send your expert to the Mantlekosi program, and you send, and this is, I'm saying with a lot of respect, and then you are forced to send a junior official to the program in your school. Because, like I said this morning, we are discriminating from time to time, and the Mantlekosi program will be bigger. Let me send my senior person there, so that we can just comply and just also be represented. Now I send another person there that cannot even make decisions. The person also has not properly briefed, as I said. So what I'm saying is that if we want to really educate, we really want to turn this whole wheel around, let's get together as departments, as local government, and let's work on a program like for instance, I've seen the 60 days program for our region, but it's not in all the areas that I see joint ventures with other departments. But I see what our officers will be doing. But what I'm saying is, if the officers sat down with the local municipality and they had the NGOs there and whatsoever, it could have been big programs. Because it's not just the launch that should be big. The whole 60 days must be big. Every day must be a massive program. But we'll move it around. We'll have it here, then in Maritzburg, because it's still part of Beaufort West and so forth, so that nobody feels, oh, you're only having it in Beaufort. And the essence of what I'm saying is, let's get together, as was done in years back, where departments sit, they set a whole program, that waterproof program that I was talking about. And then everybody said, I will take charge of this, I will take charge, our department will do the security, our department will give the speakers, right? Our MEC will come, your MEC will come, and then we've got this whole big program. And not the scattered little programs, because we are not making impact. That is which I'm after. We are not making a lot of impact. We have the smaller programs in the little silos. Let's try. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Is there any other query or any other, anything else that someone has picked up from the speaker that you would like us to engage on? Any other issue in your community as a man that you would like to raise? Mr. P.T.
Thank you. Unfortunately, that justice is
Mr. Mati, sorry.
sorry. I always like to use yes. But it's long time ago. Yeah, I know, but I don't know what. But nonetheless, no, I just want to say that I listened to us, and I also acknowledge and the role that the justice plays in regard to the issue around GDP and so on, and also the role of the community at the same time. Now, they used to have what they would call at the time court assessors. It's a program we had a long time back. I know I once or twice actually advised the magistrate around the court because someone appeared as to how to deal from the perspective of the community and so on. So that program is no more with the department. I don't think they would have scrapped it. It's probably just us here or in this region or wherever that we do not continue to have it. But I think the voice of the community when the magistrate is about to give bail or to do this or to that the voice should be at least given to say, no, but this person is a serious problem for our community. We understand the constitutional right that this person has and stuff like that and so on, as he has alluded to that also that the victim and the perpetrator both have got the rights and so on. But someone must also highlight beyond the situation, that beyond what the Constitution says, but the practical issues that are happening in our communities and so on. So that program or that approach to justice should probably be reconsidered and be brought back so that we have someone, credible leaders in society, who will sit and advise the magistrate before he arrives at his final verdict. Thanks.
Mr. Matiso?
I was going to make a comment. Thank you very much, Mr. Piti, for the input, especially in terms of ek is mos so kort sokkie of ek is nog net agter die oor as ons kom op die justisie. As half of my career it was at the Department of Social Development.
Thanks.
I just want to highlight one thing, maybe I'm not responding to say that the courts really do take into consideration. Also taking cognizance with the mention of the court assessors and also the community and so forth. The department, or rather the judiciary, before they come to a decision, they do take certain things or they call it trials into consideration before they can come to a ruling or a judgment. Firstly, it is the nature of the offense, it is the personal circumstances of the person or the accused, then it is also the interest of society. And they must strike a balance between the interests of society and also the right of the accused to liberty. And then they make
the power is going off, so we're switching over to the generator.
Oh.
So that's why.
So the decision is taken based on those facts and balancing between the right of the accused to his liberty,
yeah,
and also the interest of society. And it is something that has happened long ago, that when there is a problem in society, or there is a certain person that is a problem in society, communities in the past, unlike now, I've been in justice for the past 2 years, in Laingsburg and in Beaufort. I haven't experienced what I know from before, when the community does have a voice. When a certain perpetrator comes before court, and you find people of the community coming to the court and making their voices heard through certain programs or certain petitions that they do take. So that has not actually taken place. But what I'm saying is that these are the trials that are taken into consideration for the liberty of any person is taken.
So, which is basically what I said, the interest of society, and also the personal circumstances or the liberty of their Jews, and weigh which one was more than the other. And then last, then in terms of my comment, I think I'm speaking for the last time because I thought when you were speaking, it seems like you were closing off. You're not closing off. Okay.
Not yet, we're just switching to the generator.
Oh.
Was there any other question, any other comment?
Yeah. Ek sal net graag sien dat de geksalism dat inbraak is so 'n soort van daar later op lei tot dat nieuwsbrengs, tot dat nieuws in die gemeenskap. Hoe is het dat al die politie misschien voorstand aanbrengen? Daar waar ik blij in baas, hij ook soms heel nieuws van termen dag. En dan is die mensen wat in spoor en wat voelen, dat mag iets meer aan en kom je weer onze sporen en te gaan. Ik heb die securities van termen zijn niet op WhatsApp. Ik heb aan WhatsApp die ons gezien, die ons, en dat is deze om. Dan soms is het spoor die ons en alles niet. Maar je kent ons politie van mij. Maar dan moet bij ons mensen voor lezen, dus en gemeenschap ons ook. Alles zo bang in de winter. Gemeenschap wordt geterroriseerd, die service moet doen. Ik denk dat ik ga dit wel samen gewoon met die ogen. Dat ook wel geschokken daar als voor van mensen. Kijk je aan de ogen zo aangebracht. Als je dit echt historie doet. Het brede maakt als je dit doet, dan jouw positie gaat je zo dit zie je. Samen met werken dan delen ik dan krijg. Zo is dan een beetje ja, dan leg ik dat wat die doen is dat wordt heel zo en dan maar dat wordt gezien. Ik zou graag als er misschien een manier hoe iedereen kan helpen, dat ons die ook kan helpen, alles ja ook beter worden kan.
Okay, I friends that are born now. Otherwise, would hear that talking about the problem of the barracks of people stealing babies, but that doesn't get your.
So his question is basically, there are thieves, people are stealing these things. They call the police, they are in contact with the security from Transnet, and all of these things. But also, like he's got a couple of concerns. One is that the people that is then reportedly stealing these things are back in the community stealing these things again. And he wants to know, so what initiatives or what is steps doing to safeguard these communities, because these communities are landed by these people that are stealing these things.
Okay, for the people who've been arrested there, they have been taken to court. So once someone has been taken to court, it's out of our hands. It's for the court to decide to let the person go or keep him inside. Then the problem at Transnet, we are working hand in hand with the securities. Up at one stage, the head of securities approached the station. Then we issued the instructions that during the patrols of the event, they must do regular patrols there. And then the securities which are on duty there, they have been given different numbers whereby they are being overpowered by the people are still in there to follow those specific numbers.
Mr. Solomon.
And also another input that I have is that I feel that the old methods of doing things back in the days has also had an influence on positive influence in terms of these various crimes happening in our neighborhoods, as we seem to notice that it seems like SERVS has a problem of cars these days, whereby by various communities there's only one police station van that is going to Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7. So I think that is also another challenge that in each neighborhood we must have a police station where they can patrol there, and the beerwachters can also start moving around the communities where by all the wards, maybe the certain neighborhood established beerwachter community, they will be doing the trends. I think maybe they will also have an input of lowering the crimes and tackling it.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. There's a question and a solution. Lieutenant Colonel Costello, you want to respond?
Yes, our station is a full kennel station, and according to the national deployment, the full kennel station must have a minimum of 3 vehicles. So we are having 3 vehicles which must be deployed per shift, of which 1 vehicle must be in Nelsport, and then only 2 vehicles. So those 2 vehicles are running all over. So it's impossible for us, say for instance, common goes myself, very Nifelt, still myself. And also that also depends to the number of personnel, because each station is assigned personnel and the resources according to the number of the community, or according to the rank of the station commander.
Just was just also here, the gentleman was talking about the question, asked the question about gangsterism. Gangsterism started with us in the community. Their child really don't belong. Because why? At home, you said as a father, he's scared, he didn't go by your one. At school, the teacher said you should listen, it's a nuts recht. That is a problem with the community. So that child really don't belong. So somebody will accept him. And that one is the one who wants to do crime or feel safe there. And that is where gangsterism starts. We as a community, we as parents must more be involved, tell our children we love them. We can't put the blame to subs. We as a community must stand up. Me as a parent, I must get my boy, I must teach my child not to sit on the uncle's spoon and how she must behave. Those are the things that me as a parent must do at home. My child must feel he or she can talk to me about anything. Doesn't matter what. He or she must belong. And if we don't give them love, the world outside them will give them love. They will be accepted. And that's where gangsterism comes in these days. At home, we don't belong. Because it's a very thoughtful, it's already dead and dead. So what they do? They do crime again because in the prison, at the correctional services, he's a gangster. He's been seen as somebody. We must break the chain as a community.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Goedemiddag, het is Wisbach, werkzaam voor het departement Burgerlijke Secretaris. Ik heb ook een oplossing voor de politie. En dit is bij, ik wil het nou niet transport. Maar de politie kan ons niet terug naar de auto van die fiets. De politie fietsen gaan. En ik zit er implementeren met die wat ze provincie onder die donkeycar. Mensen daar, dat kijk was negatief. Maar het gestel dat die permanente gooi van de community. Zo bring die permanente politie bij. Geef een politie fietsen en laat hulle areas met fietsen patroleren. En dan wil ik inkom met die gangster. Ik is ook een ex-gangster, een ex-prisoner. Die probleem is in onze area, die kinders zijn groot, dat die smokkelaars of nog anders als je rolmodel. Ik heb in van mijn sessies om jeugd, vooral in Beaufort, die te motiveren van kinderen. En dat was die impressie. Die is wel wat we kijken in 2 jaar lang. 2 jaar wat we nu vragen, hoe een manier, kind je voor die nummer, je kinderen. Maar het is een hero, bij onze type community, dat die boel gechap is. Vorige week heeft iemand van mij gezegd, zij is hier oud, want dan zie je een nummer op jou getatoeëerd. Zo is die mindset. En dat is een kind leer soos hy leef. Of het by die huis is, of het in die community is. Je zal zien als die kinders speel, ik praat van my aan, dan sien hulle speel met die goed wat gebeur. Die sê 28, die hulle speel. En dan sien die kinders iemand weer word iets by maakse, die hulle speel so op by. So jy kan sien, hulle raak klaar, die probleem is 'n sosiale probleem, dat leer by die huis. En die ander ding is onze community, kan jy ons is die probleem. Ek wil doen die government leer ons mense hoe om in huis te leef. En die mense die door uitgaan, wanneer dit klaar verleer is, die government leer ons mense hoe om in huis te leef voor die RDP's. Maar kijk net, er zijn altijd mensen wat in huis uit hier of een binnen een verlaat is, afstaan is. Zo is een sociale probleem. Dat begint bij je huis. Ik zie wat ik doe. Oh, dat is de meeste wat ze weer. Ik heb die kind zo groot zo maken. Ja, ik kan ze bij de huis doen. Maar zodra ik kan spijs kan bij de school, zelfs een keer daar wat ik zie, leren of ik doen aan. Zoals we alles doen.
Yes, I am again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Department of Health, I am speaking as a member of the community. On everything we just mentioned. And again, I'm going to go back to, and like my colleague said, and the question, is our community teachable? I think everyone is teachable. I think everyone is teachable, that's why I spoke about educating our community. For the time being that I have been part of the district, I haven't heard, maybe there was, I have not heard or seen these kind of campaigns that we are speaking about today. And that's why I am urging and I'm requesting and for our community leaders here present to take the message out. We are here today, let's get together, go out, go to the rest of the community, because there's very few of them, and I know there's much more out there. But I think we can do this together. Yesterday, I mentioned before, I was in Nashville yesterday. Disa was launching the 16 days of activism on that side. We collaborated with them as the mental health team, with our family fundraising, we played some games, some education. And this one gentleman was asking me, where's the Department of Justice? I said, no, this is not a Department of Justice initiative. And for the reason we're doing this, we did not see the need to invite them. Because He wants to know what does he do as a member of the community, as a leader of the community. He sees a drug lodge operating in his community. He goes and reports, like Mr. Nashisu said, that's what people see from the outside. He reports the case and in furious time that person goes free because he's got the money, he gets a 10,000, whatever thousand and bail, he's got that kind of money. He pays it and it's off. So that's what the community sees. They do not know the processes what happens inside the whole business. But then one of the other community members stepped up and said, you know what? We as a community, we cannot always rely on stakeholders. Justice must step in, steps must step in. What can we as a community do about this? So you see it that we turn a blind eye, and therefore these things continue to happen. Like Mr. Solomon said about the neighborhood watches and such. If like, the entire community, if the community can step up, if they see they know this house, they go there because this guy said he talked about assaulting the people and then he lands up in jail. And we said, okay, obviously that's a wrong way of handling things. You cannot take justice into your own hands. You know that. You're going to be the losing party. But stepping up and you march there, you go there and you go close that house down. That drug lord and his 3 bodyguards, they won't be able to overpower 50 or 60 community members. But then you obviously say you do that march, then you collaborate with yourself and say, can we get one to a peaceful march? And you go there and you go close that place down. People are gonna become scared and wary to see, okay, these people don't want to hear anymore. They're not gonna tolerate this behavior anymore. And like what you said, the same principle applies for what you mentioned about the things, and you do report, but the people just, they come back to the community. Without being violent, I do think there is things that the community, if they stick together, but not everyone is that way. If we can just step up to them, take the message out, educate people, that they also have the power, the community has the power themselves to also solve these problems alongside every one of us in the community and our departments.
Can we just have Karoo and then Matthew? Okay, Mr. Matthew?
I'm fully rank.
Yeah. we are going to do one last round and then we will close off.
I quickly need to rush because the place is closed. So I just need to comment. The first comment that I would like to do, I would like to make a plea by Mr. Joseph's to vigorously focus on the father program. I know I'm a master trainer in the Aboriginal program. I've been developed and developed social development, but it seems that that program is no longer active, especially in our society. Because gender-based violence or domestic violence comes from somebody. And as I said before, it comes from father with lack and absence of father. And boy, child, if they are not mentored how to be a man, then the people that we mentor them, as I said, either kids, media plays a huge role in the life of this young. And therefore, then we need to focus on programs that will give mentorship and also teach the young men how to behave as a man. And also the last part is to focus on men's. It's a vision that I also have for myself, to form support groups for men.
I've done a lot of programs with men. If I can give one example, I did program when I was at DSD, I had support groups, where I did programs. I got a 62-year-old man. He shared a lot of deep stuff within the group, where he said, "Ek kry nie geleentheid om die goed te praat. En dis kom ek so as my huis." You know, and some men, they don't even know. They were never taught when your child is doing something good, you can say to your boy that I'm proud of you. You can say to your girl, I'm proud of you, daughter, I'm proud of you. Those are the things some men, they don't know because they were never taught. So it also depends on us, the stakeholders, to come together and try, I don't know, even you can ask for a service. The majority of them that are there, if you can go to the root cause of where it started, it's the absence of fathers. And I believe that is the root cause. And I want government. The problem is not now when you see the domestic violence level. The problem is there at the root of the absence of fathers. So I want the department, all the government, anyone from government that is listening to me, to focus on fatherhood and men and boys programs. I was last next parliament in 2019. I see they don't invite the Karoo this time around because those are platforms that we have a voice at where we can speak these things, where we can get funding for these things. So I would like to make it clear that everything starts, as he has said, at home. And if we cannot sort it out there, then we're going to have a problem in society, with our schools, because we're having a huge problem with boys that are bullying other boys. Because there is no mentorship that is taking place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You can take off.
Van de hoofdcommissie, als ook die moet was. En we hebben zien advice aan zien we die vragen van de kolonel die aan. Maar onze week ons 5 blokken. En elke blok is een bieddag. Ons dat veel was dat het ons een als gemeenschap. De politie gaat niet oplossen dat door die cel. En was nog eigenlijk bij ons dat we zo niet bij gaan dat we zijn. Structuur gesteld. So dat is die proces te gaan. En kry jou mense na fingerprints so as 'n proses te gaan. Jy kan nie net so dit moet fingerprints. En dan is die ander dienstnemers en dan die platforms soos ek was sê ons het platforms nodig. Baie goeie gebeur soos dit word en ons anders ons kan dat doen. As ons op dit gaan weer te doen is joblies. Ons talk about gaan doen. Ons plek hier, ons heel naam is voor. As ons sien, ons video's moet te gaan maar ook iemand as stuur. Wat sê dat vir ons? Die mense, of kom ons sê, die soulful beamptes of die goeie stikverspreid. Ons begin met die mense, ons is op die stokkel eenmaals, op die draadloos. Ons is op die pijnwolle van ons die geld weer. Die andere dienstnaam is die was, hoekom ons dat misdaad ook so begis? Ons, kan jy sê, vandaag se van jong man. Ons gaan maar net nou in die maag, ons gaan nie naar het departement, ons het die passie wat ons doen. Ons gaan maar net omdat ons unemployed is, ons is unemployed bietjie af. Maar later as jy nou aan die dinge daar sien in die maar dit is so mooi. Ek moet nie kom. Dit is so mooi. So ek dink aan al ons broke kan ons neighborhood wat structures begin as ons wil en as ons die passie het om op aan te maak. Baie dankie.
Okay, just to make a reply to the issue of bicycles. I do agree with you. There were bicycles. There can be bicycles. But the problem is not the problem, it's the rights. When I joined the police, there was a culture of destruction. Unlike now. That's why we were using bicycles then. We were instructed. Today, there are rights. If you can instruct the constables and the sergeant now to ride bicycles, it will be taken as if you're punishing them. And days before, they were patrolling down with by foot. Like this morning, as I was late at the 40 park, we all know most there's this Black Friday. So I had to have members visibly down. Then I asked them to go and be visibly down, and they were demanding vehicles. Then I asked them, are you gonna get inside, check us, or whatever with vehicles? Just go patrol down, get shop to shop, check if everything is fine. So that issue goes with the rights, and then those times there were no unions. So if now I can instruct people, they will take me to the unions. Okay, coming to the point of PBB. The Domestic Violence Act clearly specified that whoever who was involved in a domestic violence incident must be visited. I'm having an appeal, especially to social development and department like Pakistan, that what if they can have what you call a platform whereby they can go to the police stations, see who are the victims of domestic violence incidents, and especially those who have reported domestic violence incidents twice or thrice at a time, and visit those families. Yes, we are visiting the families, but of the view that we are not professionals like social development and places like that. Just to avoid, if they can visit those families, to avoid the recurrence of reporting the same domestic violence incident, and to avoid this, because the gender-based violence, it starts there by that small domestic violence incident, which was so to try and curb these big or serious incidents of PBB, the social development and the parties, if they can make a slot that they can visit all those domestic violence incident victims.
Thank you so much. So before we close and give over to the district municipality just to do the closing remarks, this is something I would like to say. So as GCIS, we would like to appeal to communities to be activists against gender-based violence, and activists in their homes, in the places that they work, but also the places that they occupy. Because you can't just be against gender-based violence when you are out here in these kind of spaces. You also need to be activists against gender-based violence in silence, in your homes and in these other spaces, in your churches, on the street, when you see a woman being beaten up or a man being beaten up, you also need to be an activist against gender-based violence. And it's also become very clear, okay, that we need our communities to challenge cultural norms. We need our communities to also challenge those perpetual behaviors that we see in our societies. Me, my pai, my master, so as normal. We need for our communities to change that. And one of the things that has come out from this discussion very strongly is the fact that we need communities to take ownership. We need communities to say, look, this is where I live. These are my people, these are my children. So I've got to be the voice. If I see something, I've got to say something. And in our societies, that is still one of the challenges. People see lots of things and they say absolutely nothing. And like we want to appeal to people to play their part. And I know that there's a lot of people don't want to get involved. There's a fear, but we need to move beyond that now. We need to move to a point where you know what is right and you know what is wrong. And when you see that kind of behavior, you need to say something. So before we hand over to the district, but I also want to latch on to one of the other things that came out very strongly, is that we need to be conscious of what we are role modeling in our homes. We need to be conscious of what we teach our children, because those are the behaviors that they are going to go out into the world and showcase. So with that, Mr. Pitti, can you come and do the official closing for us, please?
Once again, good afternoon, colleagues. I want to make this following people also trying to give some sort of a way forward in terms of all of the issues, sometimes frustrations, sometimes ideas that we have, like put here, and serious concerns that we have, but there needs to be a way of how are we going to deal with these issues moving forward. Now, our input from the side of the district, as part of government, as we all know that government is actually established on the three spheres, the local and province and national. So we are in the local government sphere, and the second AM, the district municipality, has been part of, or is actually, because we're starting now, is part of the leader of this program, of this campaign, with all in collaboration with the other local municipalities and so on. So when we deal with this issue of gender-based violence, what we would seriously advocate or actually put forward is that collaboration as various stakeholders is very key to our success in terms of fighting the scourge and building more safer communities and so on. So I would want to highlight one of our inherent functions as a municipality, as government, that we are expected to plan around whatever is a challenge in our communities. I want to draw that now down to this particular issue that brought us together, which is this gender-based violence. We need to be having specific plans as to how are we going to go about. And the municipalities, district and locals are actually required or actually expected by law to develop what would be called integrated development plans, which is the IDP. And the IDP has got specific phases that it has. And one key phase is actually the situational analysis phase. That phase highlights and it tells us how much or how deep a particular challenge in our society is, and all issues of violence generally would be outlined in that particular analysis, so that we have an understanding before we begin to plan or to say whatever we need to say. We actually now getting a proper analysis of what the challenge is and so on. Now, gender-based violence is one of that. So having done that, having come up with this situational analysis, we will then have to come up with strategies, because we cannot just hope that this thing will be disappearing. We must come up with challenges that will be supported by programs that we will be running to ensure that we're bringing these things down, whether it is focused on children or focused on youth, focused on the elderly, as also been mentioned, and generally so, and so on. So we need therefore to come up with those particular programs. So as a municipality, we would then also want to say that gender-based violence is also perpetuated in some instances by what we should have embraced actually. We should have embraced or continue to embrace the issue of political freedom and economic freedom. I think Mr. Fisher, I think Joseph has also talked about the issue of the economic strength of women in the house. That is not supposed to be a threat. That is supposed to be something that we embrace as a family, because now we've got extra income. Now we've got income that we can use for the betterment of the house. But now women, the men, see it as a threat and will ultimately now be and direct that to the wife and so on. And politically also, it is also that now that we all say yes, we've got the right to freedom of speech, but in the house that is not actually really embraced, because people would say when he puts a point here and the wife disagrees or wants to put her view, then it is seen as and the serious anger just comes up, and the wife would say, yeah, but I mean, and so on. But then that things escalate to an extent that the man will then rely on his physical strength instead of his mental strength to argue the point that is at hand on the table, and uses his power to overpower the wife and so on. Some things that we're saying that needs to be dealt with in order for us to be. I'm not going to talk about the general economic freedom that we must ensure, because yes, that needs to be something, because at the end of the day, when I feel like my life is not changing, my life is not improving, I feel worthless. And when I feel worthless, I can do anything. And I don't have a concern as to my work, and my work is paying me good money, and all of those things, you don't have those concerns. Because anyway, I am a useless person, and that then actually becomes a goal, or actually the fruit where GDP actually starts and so on. So I'm trying to rush because I'm being called to the clinic and so on, so I must quickly get there. But the last one thing is that I want to applaud GCIS and all stakeholders around this issue of roundtables. There's a call that says this thing should not be a 16-day thing, it must be a 365-day thing. So I wanted to put this idea on the table to say that roundtables should continue for the rest of the year. Throughout, we must have roundtables on various different issues. We must be discussing these things, and I would want us to start, if then possible, so that we as the district can put it open as to what can be or what should form part of the roundtables in terms of moving forward, and to ensure that this thing becomes
a year-round thing instead of just an event that comes with a particular time and then again disappears and so on. So with those words, ladies and gentlemen, I want to also thank you for having invited us and all of the good luck for the rest of the things left for this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the